Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host, El Young. I am here with Jeff Carlson and Agent K of the Jeff Carlson Band. So, welcome, guys.
How
So,
you
Well,
doing?
thank
could
you.
you,
Thank you for having
Glad to
us,
be
El.
here.
yeah, no worries. And could you introduce yourselves and what you do within the band?
Jeff Carlson, lead singer, rhythm guitar player, chief songwriter.
Like the CEO of the band right there. And I'm Agent K, and I'm the lead guitar player and backing vocals. And I'm
Otherwise
the
known as
Sweet,
Corey Brown.
yes, sir.
sweet. So, let's dive into some questions. As a kid, what were you listening to?
Oh man, Kiss was my all-time favorite band of all time. When I was, 8, 9, 10 years old. I got into rock and roll and got the bug when I was about five, actually. My mom took me to see Kiss on the Alive tour. I was 4, and then she took me to see Black Oak, Arkansas, and I got to meet Jim Dandy Mangrum, the lead singer, and he was so cool to me, man. That was the bug that got me started, and it's been in my DNA ever since, So, um,
Yeah.
Ozzy, I loved Ozzy. I loved Randy Rhoads. He was one of my heroes. I loved Gary Richrath from REO Speedwagon, the original lead guitar player. And let's see, who else did I really like? Styx, REO. I saw REO when I was 11 years old in Memphis, Tennessee, in front of 80,000 people, and it was like life changing, man. It was incredible. Um, I'm a huge fan of the 70s and 80s bands. The early Bon Jovi. The first 4 records up to probably Keep the Faith. Those records are amazing, and the whole 80s, Rat, Bon Jovi, and a lot of bands. Lillian Axe is one of my favorite bands from back then. Yeah, go for it, Agent K.
Well, I was gonna let you keep going so you could name every band from the '80s.
Warrant,
Basically,
can't
a
forget
lot of
Warrant.
this band, we have a very similar taste in music. I think that's what's going to make what we're doing in the next album and everything so special, is because I feel like that you go for a long time writing music, playing music, and you're always building and kind of evolving as a player, as a singer, as a writer. And I feel like when you find that one person that kind of has your similar interests, but actually has really strong strengths in a lot of areas, I feel like that really makes both players improve. And so I feel like that's kind of where Jeff and I are at right now. So it's really exciting starting down the path of writing this new album together. But
Yeah.
let me go back through and think of all my early interests. I was kind of limited growing up because I had fairly strict parents, so I didn't get the open access to a lot of heavy metal and hard rock. So I kind of grew up on like Striper and Bride, some of the early Christian rock bands. And then I think by the time I was sophomore, junior in high school, I'd kind of evolved over to Rat and Dokken and Ozzy. And so those were always kind of the bands that your first ones that you find are really great. And I really stuck through that kind of up until probably 2010. I listened to pretty much the same thing over and over. I did briefly dive into kind of the modern rock, heavy metal stuff, but and recently I've been going back and listening to like old Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, stuff I never really listened to, and I really have found a heavy appreciation for that stuff as well.
Me
So
too,
if I
man.
had to
I
think, if there
love
was
those
any
guys.
artist that shaped me the most, I'm one of my greatest, obviously from a guitar player's perspective. Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads are kind of like the gold standard for everything that I've wanted to do. But I think the people that shaped me the most would probably be Michael Sweet from his singing and vocals and Striper, and then George Lynch from a guitar playing perspective.
Amazing
Cool,
players right
cool.
there.
If I could just do half,
Yep.
that's probably asking a lot. But
Another one of my favorite bands is Tesla too, man. Gotta love Frank Hannon. He's such a badass. I love him. He's a good buddy of mine. Great guy.
Tesla is probably the one that once I discovered them, I listened to them probably the most consistent. I feel like Tesla is one of those bands that you can sit down and listen to over and over again. Where some of the other stuff you listen to it once or twice and then you put it down for a while. But yeah, I like Tesla. I think Tesla came along at the right time. They were one of the few bands that actually kind of bridged the early gap of going into the 90s. And had they been just a few years earlier, they would have probably, had a much larger legacy in terms of what they've done. But man, they're writing and they're playing and their performances are just great. I love Tesla as well.
They're still great. They're still great.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Guess who's just come in? Our good friend, Doug.
What's up?
Doug.
Doug.
What up? Dangerous Doug in the house. My brother from another mother.
Yep. Yeah. Good bloke. Good man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, he says, "What's up, boys?" So let's get back into so who really got you into music? I know, Jeff, you mentioned something about your mom taking you to see Kiss. Was it who was it a family member or like a friend or who actually got you into music?
Well, it was both my mom and dad both. They were pretty liberal when it came to not being strict about music at that time, because they would take me to concerts, which I thought was really cool, man. I mean, my dad took me to see Ozzy when I was 11, 2 weeks after Randy died in Memphis at the Mid-South Coliseum, and I got to see Brad Gillis, and that was still, to this day, the loudest, clearest concert I've ever seen. It was amazing. But I had friends of mine. I used to have a buddy of mine by the name of Tony Gothard. He was a great guy. He's still up in Savannah, Illinois, where I was born and my family's from. And him and I were into Iron Maiden back in the day, man. I remember when I was 12 years old, my first band with him, we did a talent contest, and we did We're Not Gonna Take It from Twisted Sister. We did Too Young to Fall in Love from Motley. And we did Smoking at the Boys' Room. And we lost to a baton twirler. So, yeah, that was fun. Good fun.
I hope that's not foreshadowing of what's to come.
I know, right?
I mean, I guess we could always add a few twirlers to go into.
Well, I wasn't singing then. I wasn't singing then. I was just playing guitar. I was, but at the same time, I'll tell you, man, when I got to see Iron Maiden back in '85 on the Live After Death tour with Accept opening, and that was huge. That was a big deal. That was so kick-ass, man, So, yeah, all my friends were musicians, and the minute I saw, John Bon Jovi when I was 14 years old, I wanted to be him, So I still want to be him, but I haven't made it yet. Not the John of now, but the John of old.
Yeah. Right. So who basically inspired you to become actually better, actually pick up the guitar or to start singing?
My dad more than anybody. He always wanted to learn to play guitar, and I think he kind of lived through me, So when I did, it was kind of a big deal. But, I didn't pick it up to try to impress anybody. I did it because it was really, truly what I wanted to do. It was really a passion, true passion. And it still is. That's all I could say,
Yeah. Itching care?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think for me, I started off in high school and in college. I played the drums. And I really, I think early on, I'm not sure I really was driven by anything other than the fact that I just really enjoyed it. And it was somewhat competitive to me. It wasn't about competing with other drummers and I want to be the best in this, or even now playing guitar. it was just a kind of an internal competition. It was a satisfaction of starting to write a song, finishing it, and having that satisfaction. And if somebody likes it, that's just, the extra benefit that, hey, wow, people like what I did. But, I think I've always pretty much been focused on just trying to go, I'm proud of this from me. And so I think that that's always been the motivating factor, because I was a competitive tennis player growing up and, always very heavily into sports, basketball, tennis. And so I feel like in some ways I brought that into wanting to be the best I can be, from a musical perspective, even though with guitar, I got started really late in life. I knew like 3 chords for years, but I didn't really start playing lead guitar until around 2013. And even then it was like heavy while I was writing an album. And then I wouldn't really play much lead at all for another year. And then I'd write an album. So I think that now there's a new fire, and it's just all about really trying to make those, progress and progressions in my songwriting, especially with Jeff and in the Jeff Carlson project. But I just think that that's like a lifelong thing. It's not something that you get injured in a sporting event and then you can't play forever. That this is something that you can do the rest of your life and make a difference, not only for yourself, but for others.
Oh yeah. I started off playing when I was I started playing guitar when I was 14, and I would sit in with these bands that my friend's uncle was in a local cover band, and those guys are in their 30s, and I was 14 years old. My dad was taking me to bars, sitting in with these guys. And we do Rock of Ages, Don't Tell Me You Love Me from Night Ranger, Def Leppard, Honeymoon Suite, New Girl Now, stuff like that. And it really kind of baptism by fire, and made you a better player all the way around, being with better musicians around you,
Yeah. Doug has come up, put us a comment here. He says that JCB should cover Striper.
What song would we do?
Yeah.
Back in those 80s,
Michael Sweet vocals are tough, dude.
Yeah.
We could pull
Loud and clear would be cool.
Does that help us out with one of them? I think
Soldiers Under Command.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If we did a song, it'd have to be Soldiers Under Command.
Yeah, that's a great song. Oz is a buddy of mine. Yeah. He's a great player. Sweet guy, man.
Yeah.
I know Michael and Robert and Oz, all three. They're sweet guys. Great guys.
Doug said loud and clear.
Loud.
Yeah.
Nice.
What were you in any bands prior to the Jeff Carlson band?
Yeah, I've had Corey, our bass player, Corey K, and I started off originally in 1997. We had a band called Angel Park, which later changed to Liquid Sky. And we had a lead guitar player by the name of Robbie Wolf with us off and on. And then after that, we had, I basically fast forward to 2017, I'd gotten a solo deal with Atomic Records. And at the time I was living in Tucson, Arizona. So I moved back to Las Vegas in 2018 and put the first formation of Jeff Carlson band back together under my name. And we went through a couple. Corey's been with me since day one, so we brought in. We've gone through several drummers. I feel like we're, Spinal Tap, but what are you gonna do? So,
we have a book.
But yeah, right. Our last drummer died in a bizarre gardening accident. Stumpy Pete. No, but Robbie had some personal issues he's taken care of. So we brought in Corey, Agent K, and we just hired a new drummer by the name of Nathaniel Welch, who's a great kid, man. Amazing drummer.
Badass little drummer too, man.
Yep. And we're so fortunate. So hopefully we're working on getting a tour next year and doing some big things next year.
Cool. Agent K, any bands before?
Yeah, I played in a band in college. I played in a band called, as a drummer, I was in a band called Unchained, which ironically it was a last minute decision, Van Halen album song Unchained. So that was the band name. Then I played in a band called Providence, which was kind of like a Christian progressive rock band in college. And then after that, I started a band called Bitter Angels out of San Antonio, Texas, and we did several shows. And from that, I met some guys that were in a band called Audio Light, and me and one of the members in that band formed a band. And for the last, I guess this would be 10 years, called the Clutch Kings. And so I moved out to Vegas and was still touring with them before I joined the Jeff Carlson band. And it's kind of really my two biggest legacies would just really be Clutch Kings and kind of Bitter Angels as a guitar player before joining the Jeff Carlson band.
Cool. My good friend Vicky, where are you going? Vicky Grandy has asked a question. Have you ever played at any haunted places?
At any, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Have we ever played in haunted venues?
Have you?
I lost your audio, brother. Say it again. I'm sorry. There we go.
Have you played at any haunted venues?
Haunted venues. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I had my first road band when I was 18 years old was called Renegade, and we were a cover band. But we played a place called in Winthrop, Washington, and it was an old ghost town. It was like an 1800s looking, old West town. And man, there had to be some ghosts. I mean, it was creepy around that place, man. We stayed at the Bates Motel in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho once when we played there. And I don't know. I didn't see any actual ghosts, but it's kind of creepy.
Right. What's the band been up to?
Well, we just hired a new drummer. Like I was saying earlier, great kid, amazing drummer. I call him a kid. He's 28. He'll be 28, but perfect fit for us, man. And I'm so thankful. We've got 3 shows coming up in December. We're playing December 9th in West Hollywood at the Whiskey, world famous Whiskey A Go-Go with John Corabi, the former voice for a one-time album, Motley Crue, The Scream, The Dead Daisies, great guy. Then we're playing December 16th at Fitzgerald's in San Antonio, Texas. And we're playing the 18th, which is my birthday, in Uvalde, Texas, for a border agent retirement party, which is going to be really cool, man. And after that, we're going to release. Mark Slaughter is going to produce our next single, and we're going to release a new single first part of January, and along with a couple videos, and it's going to be we're gearing up to tour next year and putting together an actual tour.
We do have another date too here in Vegas. It hasn't been announced yet, but put a little check mark in your calendar for January 29th. We got a show that's going to be here in Vegas. So we'll be announcing where that's at here shortly.
Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned something. You mentioned you're going to be writing a new album. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there's no working title as of yet. We're going to be releasing a new single off of it in the first part of January. I can't really get into that yet because we're still in the writing process and we're not done yet with that. But I think next year is going to be a big year for us, and we're really happy with. So glad that RFL has decided to help us and re-sign us, and some big things are going to happen. Once we get the working title, and once we get to a point to where we're ready to announce, it'll be a big deal. We'll be announcing it, and you guys will hear about it. Definitely.
Cool, cool. I know you mentioned some dates, but for like sort of like a tour, is there any other like plans for to do more dates in the future?
Oh yeah, we're working on a U.S. tour next year. Um, there's a couple different options we have. They're not cemented yet. Once we get them locked in, we'll make a huge announcement. We're possibly looking at going to Japan as well. But again, that's in the infancy stage right now. But once we get that locked in, we'll let everybody know about that too.
Cool, cool. So probably this is probably going to be my last question, unless anybody else has got any questions from the chat. Any advice for people who want to become musicians?
Follow your heart, man. I asked Gene Simmons the same thing once, and he told me, "Don't look over your shoulder. Don't try to follow trends. Don't, because you'll always be a day late." He said, "Do what you do, and it'll find its way." And that's the best advice I can give anybody. That's true, because without that advice, I think it's important to stay relevant, but I don't think it's important to try to be something you're not. So do what you do, what you feel you love in your heart, and it'll find its way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you enjoy it, you have a passion for it, other people will ride off of that passion, and it won't be just, I think the passion for what you're doing is one of the intangibles. It's like if you don't believe it and you're just going through the motions because you want to play music that other people like, but you don't really like, that comes out in your performance. It comes out in your writing. I think it comes out in really your identity. So I think that having that passion and not really having a fear too of having to go out there and feel like, hey, I'm not posting something unless it's just perfect or unless I just have overproduced it. I think a lot of times people nowadays like the believable. They liked really the connection. So I think don't be scared, do what you love and the rest will just take its course.
Well, people can see right through it if you're trying to be something you're not. And that's definitely true. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why passion's so important in really truly believing in what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I went through
Good
my Elton
advice.
John
Good
phase,
advice.
people knew it wasn't really me.
Right? That's awesome.
Uh,
That's great.
Thank you guys for coming on and doing this interview. It's been an amazing time. So thank you so much for coming on. And
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
a
you.
Al.
big shout out.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Dangerous Doug for setting this interview up for me. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Doug
Absolutely. If you
just
guys
said,
like what you hear, go out and get the Yesterday's Gone record. That's our latest record.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, sorry.
that's okay. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram, Jeff
Oh
Carlson,
yeah,
Facebook page.
that's
JCB Legion,
Yep.
JCB Army.
yeah. That's I was going to ask. What's your social media sites? Have you got Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that?
We're
Um,
on all the social media sites. We're on Twitter, Jeff Carlson Band on Twitter, um, Jeff Carlson Band on Facebook, Instagram.
YouTube.
Where else? YouTube. Yep. We've got
We're fixing to take a
official.
real good push to start releasing more things on YouTube from, some of our recording and writing sessions. We're going to start to be a little bit more active on kind of the platforms where people can see what we're doing and interact with us.
Yep.
cool, cool. Yeah, go check them out on the social media and YouTube. Thank you guys for joining me today. It's
Thank
You
you
much
again,
bet.
man. Really
appreciated.
appreciate it.
Thanks again, Al. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. So, yeah. Sometimes I hate technology. So, and for some reason, it's not ending. Yeah.
You gotta love dead air, huh?
It says sometimes I hate technology. It's not playing. It's not playing ball. If you just leave the studio, be brilliant.
All right. Take care. We'll see you later.
Take care. All right. Bye bye.